When working with factorization, you'll come across this situation where you have the difference between squares. Now, what is a square again? So 4 means that you can multiply a number with itself and it will become a 4. In this case, it will be 2 times 2, and that means this number is a square. And you can also test it by putting a square root over it. And if you square root a square number, then you will end up with a number so simplified that you won't be left with a square. In this case, we know it is 2 because we ask what times what is 4, and it's 2. Now, to come back to the difference between squares and what that has to deal with factorization, is that when you have the difference between squares, you have this situation where you can actually factorize it into 2 brackets. Then what you do is you take the square root of x squared. Now, what is the square root of x squared? And again, you ask what times what is x squared, multiplied with each other, the same thing multiplied with itself, and that is just an x. And the other way to work it out is that if you have a square root, then you have actually the number 2 there. So when you don't see a number there in a square root, there's a number 2, and then what you do is you take that 2 there and you divide it into that 2 there. So you actually have x to the power of 1, and we don't write that to the power of 1 in mathematics, so you just write it as x. So the square root, just come back to this one, the square root of x squared is just x, and you put the x there and there. So this is the first place of the first bracket and the first place in the second bracket, and then you work out the square root of 4, and we know that is 2, and you put the 2 there in the second place of the first bracket, and also in the second part of the second bracket. And then because it's a difference between squares, what you'll do is you'll put a plus and a minus here. Now this is just a method, just remember your equal signs. This is just a method to remember how to factorize the difference between squares, and we can test this actually, because if you say x times x, it is x squared, x times minus 2 is minus 2x, 2 times x is plus 2x, and 2 times minus 2 is minus 4. And you'll see here that you'll cancel this minus 2x and positive 2x out, and you are left with x squared minus 4. So it works out. And it's the same with this one. Again, you'll have 2 brackets, and remember, we only do this where there is a difference between squares. Again, you take the square root of m6, and what is the square root of m6? Again, if you don't see an exponent at a root, it's 2. So what you do is you say 2. So you say m6 divided by that 2 there, and that is m3. Okay. Or you could ask what times what will give you m6 if it's a thing that's the same, and it's m to the power of 3. Now, so the square root of m6 is m3. You put it there in the first place of this first and second bracket, and the square root of 25, we know it's 5, and you say plus minus. Now, I would recommend doing always doing all the plus minus in that order, because sometimes you'll end up with this bracket here, which you can actually further factorize. So it's better to have the plus on this side and the minus there, and you'll later on see just the confirmation of that. Now here you have a square root 36p squared we need to work out. Now here we can split the square root, and then we say what times what is 36, it's 6, and what times 1 is p squared, or just divide the 2 into that exponent. So it's just p 6p, so you put the 6p here and the 6p here, and the square root of 1 is just 1 and 1. You say plus minus. Let's move a bit down here. Here we have y squared plus 4. Here we don't have the difference between squares because there's a positive, a plus. So here you can't factorize this, and this is definitely something you will be asked later on. And please remember, you can't factorize this algebraic expression. Here we have 50 minus 2m squared. The problem here is we don't have the difference between squares, because square root 50, you can't ask what times what is 50. That's just a natural number. So what we'll need to do is factorize this first. You take out a 2, and 2 divided by, or 50 divided by 2 is 25, and you're left here with the m squared because you took out the 2 there, or divided the 2 into the 2m m squared. Now we have the difference of squares, so you'll keep the 2, that the one you've taken out, just keep it there, but you'll write then the 2 brackets there, because it's now the difference between squares, and the square root of 25 is just 5 and 5, and the square root of m squared is just m, but you write the m here, and you say plus minus. So now for our last example, if you have n for m6, you see here you have a fraction, which can cause maybe some confusion. Actually, this is not, it's m to the power of 10 here. So this can cause a bit of confusion, but remember again, what we are dealing with is that you need to work out the square root of n to the power 4 m to the power of 10. In this case, when you have a fraction, you can split the square root. And remember, if you don't see a exponent, it's just 2, then it's n to the power of 4 divided by that 2, and this is m to the power of 10 divided by 2, so it's n to the power of 2 m to the power of 5. Now in this case, so we've worked that one we've worked out. What's the square root of 4 and over 49? So again, it's a fraction, so you can split the square root, and you are left with the square root of 4 is just 2, and 49 is just 7, so you have 2 over 7. So now it's actually easy to work this out, and then you have n to the power of 2 divided by m to the power of 5 in the first place of both brackets, and then you have 2 over 7 here and 2 over 7 there, and remember your plus minus. But if you put it as a minus plus or a negative positive, that also doesn't matter.